Hey guys, JB here from Alpha Wolf Consulting. All right, continuing on. So this just covers my thesis on self-validation. All right. So throughout my personal journey, I never could see how self-validation was the missing key. Was the key aspect that I was personally missing. So I tried working on, my personal development. I tried working on my mindset. I tried working on my self-belief, my self-value, my self-worth. And no matter what happened, okay, no matter how much confidence and all of that I gained, it never really did anything because everything was validated in someone else's belief, in someone else's ideals of what was right, what was true. So that's what I really came to realize only recently, was that my journey was underpinned by others' beliefs. So the downside to that, all right, was that no matter how great I felt, I never truly, consistently felt stable within myself, because I never truly understood how our brain works and how it all sort of layers one on top of the other. So, for example, you can't have self-belief without self-validation, because if you're unable to validate your beliefs, your thoughts, how you feel, what you think is right, all right, you can have all the self-belief you want, you can boost yourself up, but what happens is it's always artificial, it's never organic, it's never from within you. Just to the same fact, if you're if you're trying to build self-worth, okay, and you don't have belief in yourself, it never works. So what I really realized was there are stages we have to get through, and we have to build a foundation from the ground up so that we truly understand, what is it, how it works. But also, if we try and skip steps, we're never going to get the results, because we're always going to be drawn straight back down. All right. So I lacked this for so much in my life. I never really understood the importance that if I'm building, okay, my self-confidence based off, motivational speakers, based off these great personal development coaches, I can get all their belief. I can feel like I have self-belief while I'm listening to them. But then as I cease to listen to them, and as moment to moment goes by, it slowly wanes, because I don't know how to organically generate it within myself. So what we need to understand at a high level is our self-validation really, really works within our conscious mind, but also our subconscious mind, because our conscious mind is what I think and feel about myself consciously. So I can tell myself how great I am and how much I appreciate myself and how much I love myself, but it's not going to matter if I don't implant it into my subconscious, if I don't instill this self-validation. Okay. And what is self-validation? Self-validation is understanding that my opinion about who I am, about the worth I have, about the value I bring, has to be above other people's opinion of me. Okay. And it's not about trying to, devalue what other people's opinion means. It just means, to me, my opinion needs to reign supreme, and then I take on other people's opinion under that. And if their opinion holds value and holds, gold and holds truth, I can instill that in my opinion. Okay, but it has to be for me. It can't be for anyone else, you know. And if I'm unable to internally validate myself in every moment, okay, through the processes and the actions and the beliefs and the thoughts that I hold, okay, I will never feel what I'm trying to feel. I'll never feel what I'm hoping to feel. Okay. So it's a very, very important aspect of it. Right. So I thought I needed to be recognized by others, you know, as being worthy, as my thoughts or my ideas on how things needed to be how things were, okay, on how it needed to be recognized by others. And unfortunately for me, this led to a very, very volatile life. So if you've ever noticed your emotional states being highly volatile based on the situations or events in your external environment, what that tells me and what that means is you're validating who you are, what you think, what you believe, the ideas you hold about yourself in the external environment. If you feel stable, secure, no matter what's happening, okay, around your life, around situations that you're in, okay, you will never, you know, unless you're internally validating, you're never going to have that stability, because what you require is a constant stream of external validation. You know what I mean? And what that does is that means you're dependent on everyone around you, and everyone around you has control over you for if they should change their view of you, their stance of you, okay? You'll never feel how you felt when they were validating you. So that's an important thing, okay? Where, you know, this volatile life, okay, of always externally validating myself, I never truly felt good enough. That my approach was, you know, my approach to things was never right. I would always put others' beliefs before my own, even when I knew about my beliefs being the right beliefs, even though I knew, you know, these thoughts in my mind were right for me. I could never see it. I could never feel it, because what would happen is it was all rooted in I valued others' beliefs or professionals' beliefs, or these, you know, highly qualified people, personal development coaches, all of that. I valued their opinion of me over me, their opinion of what was over what I thought what was. Okay. So you really got to understand that it's your opinion about yourself that is the most important thing. It doesn't matter what others think. It doesn't matter what your partner thinks, what your mother thinks, what your father thinks, what your siblings think, what your best friends think. That don't mean anything, because it will never get you anything unless what you want is to live their life, unless what you want is to, you know, feel what they feel, to be beholden to who they want you to be. Because you got to understand these ideals, okay, of personal development, self-development, self-validation, self-belief, self-confidence, all of these different things, okay, that make up our psychology, that create and shape how we view the world and how we view ourselves in the world, is all built while we are young children, while we are adolescents, while we are developing and growing. So for the majority of us, especially, you know, if you're born and you grew up in the 80s, the 90s, the early 2000s, okay, a lot of bad damage was done. And it was just shocking, to say the least. It was shocking the way in which we used to treat each other. You know, that if I said something to you and you got upset, that it was just your fault for being upset. You know what I mean? Even though it is, because you should never allow anyone's words to affect you, just like I should never allow anyone's words to affect me. And this is the value of understanding self-validation that I've realized is the stronger we can validate our internal beliefs, thoughts, feelings, and all of that, okay, the stronger we can build our armor, our resistance to negative ideas, to negative actions, to negative thoughts, to negative beliefs that are put on us by other people, by our external environment. Because just remember, okay, it is a natural thing for people to attack people that are different. That's how our society has been built. You can look back throughout history, okay? Every great person who's ever lived, who's held a different idea of what could be or what should be, has always been ostracized and attacked by the mass majority or by the consensus. So it's very, very important. But the other thing is when we have, when we use other people's beliefs to construct our own beliefs, in terms of we construct our beliefs based on someone else's belief, what we're truly telling ourselves is that you don't matter. Your ideas don't matter. Your thoughts don't matter. Your beliefs don't matter. What you feel in the moment doesn't matter. What other people say is more important than what you feel in the moment. And what that does is that erodes that little thing called self-worth, that little thing called self-belief. Because how can you ever trust yourself, okay, when you never take your own advice, when you never value your own opinion, when you never value the things that you know are right for you within you? So that is a very, very important thing. Because I'll put it like this: how can I ever feel worthy if I'm always putting other opinions or others' opinions and beliefs on how things, things on how I do, or on how to do things, okay, above my own? So if, for example, I'm cutting wood and I always choose to use someone else's approach to how to cut wood, how to chop down a tree, even if I think I know a better way, what I'm telling myself is, you're not good enough to know a better way. This way is the right way. So what we have to understand is we have to understand the importance of self-exploration, of self-expression. Okay, it doesn't matter if you're right or wrong. It doesn't matter if you're better or worse. That's all arbitrary, because who's making the metrics? You know what I mean? If it takes you an hour to cut down a tree, if it takes you 10 days to cut down a tree, it doesn't really matter. The only thing that matters is if you're on a time frame. If you're on a time frame, then it matters. But in life, it doesn't matter if it takes you a day to do something, or a week to do something, or a year to do something. Doesn't matter if it takes you a short amount of time to learn something, or if it takes you a lifetime to learn one simple thing. The end result is, if you learn it, you learn it. But the most important thing is, how do you learn it? Do you learn it by building trust within yourself? By saying, I think this is the right way, and I trust myself to go that way. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If I'm right, I'm right. All right. So that's one of the things. It demoralizes you when you don't take your own advice, when you don't listen to your own intuition, when you don't listen to your gut instincts, or the beliefs that you hold. And what it does is it just weakens and erodes that self-confidence, that self-worth. It erodes pretty much everything about yourself, okay? Because you're not actually listening and valuing yourself. You're putting someone else's value above yourself. And that's a very important thing to remember, is we never want to put someone else above ourselves. Okay. And this isn't to say that, we're better than other people and we should always be on top. No, it's that in my mind, okay, I am the master of my mind. So my thought, my opinion must hold true as being the number one. Okay. And it's not that it's this belief I have is always going to be right. No, it's that my opinion of, I will look at someone else's belief and I will assess if it works for me, if it's valuable towards me, if I can implement it in my life. It's not that I implement it because you tell me it's good, because you tell me it's right. Just like you should never implement anything because I tell you it's right. It's all about building that self-confidence within yourself, okay, by validating and valuing your ability to come to a conclusion, your ability to look at data, to look at information and to say, yes, I agree with this, or no, I don't agree with this. And regardless of if it's yes, if it's no, it doesn't matter. What matters is, how do you feel about the decisions you made? How do you feel about the beliefs you hold, about the thoughts that you have on subjects, about how you feel in the moment when you're doing something? Does it feel right, or does it feel like it's not right for you? Because if you force yourself to do things that aren't right for you, it will negatively affect how I subconsciously, or you subconsciously, value yourself, okay, or how I value myself, okay, and how I internally build up my own self-worth, how you internally build your own self-worth. This is all dependent on how much respect you show yourself, okay? Because to just listen to someone else because they're in a higher position than you, or because they're an expert in their industry, because this, because that, like, granted, there are some times you should always defer to others' judgment, okay? And the number one thing to remember is, when you have zero experience in something, okay, it's always best to defer to someone else's judgment. But you shouldn't just accept their belief, accept their thought, accept their judgment. You should accept that potentially their judgment is right, and you have to do the work to figure it out. If you're not willing to do the work to figure it out, then it's okay to accept it, because you don't have to know everything. So, for example, if you're going to the doctor because you've got a skin condition that's just broken out and it's a reaction to something and you have no idea what it's to, well, you're not going to tell the doctor, no, you don't know what you're on about. I know what I'm on about. I've done nothing, but I know what is right for me. No. So if the doctor said that it was an allergic reaction for something, then you can choose. Could he be right? Could he be wrong? Maybe I should get a second opinion. Maybe I should get a third opinion. Maybe I should do some independent research. Maybe I should use my mind, okay, to do independent research to understand. Now, it doesn't mean that you should always challenge and not agree with what is presented to you, but innately, internally, you know what is right for you. You know what's wrong for you. Like, you understand that, okay? And sometimes we do fall into the trap of lying to ourselves. So you have to watch out for that as well, okay? That sometimes we can think that we know more on a subject, and generally when we act like that, we are acting straight out of the ego, okay? We're not acting out of a conscious knowledge. It's out of a defense mechanism to feel important, to feel like we know more. So you got to pick your battles, okay? It's not always about being, well, it's never about always being right. It's about being right for you. So for example, self-validation isn't just my opinion is the only opinion. No, it's that my opinion is the opinion that is the best opinion for me. Okay, so if I'm sick and I need medicine and the doctor tells me you're sick because of this, and he's truly got my best interests at heart, then I should defer to his opinion. Okay, if I feel like he doesn't have my best interests at heart, I should not defer to his opinion. Okay, so that's a very important thing to do and to understand, is really learning to understand when is it right to entrench yourself in your belief and to stand firm and stand and hold the line on what you think is right and what you think is the right path for you, and when to defer. Okay, when to accept that someone else may know a little bit more than you or me. Okay, for example, if my leg is broken, I don't know how to set a cast. Am I going to sit there and argue with the nurses and the doctors who are setting the cast? No, that would be stupid. That would be egotistical. That would be highly idiotic for me to do. I'd look like a buffoon arguing because I have no information on it. But your internal subconscious and your internal intuition in your gut and your feelings and things like that, like your intuition, like that's never going to lead you astray. Okay, because that's based in a higher form of intelligence or consciousness that we don't yet fully understand. So it's very important to understand the difference between what are the right things to internally validate, what are the right things to externally validate. Okay, because some things do need external validation. Okay, because unless we're all doctors, unless we're all scientists, unless we're all computer engineers, unless this, that, and the other, we have to learn to delegate, but we have to learn who is the right person to delegate. Now, this is where the self-validation is important, because we don't just listen to people because they're in a higher position. We listen to them because they're competent, because they know what they're talking about, because they have our best interests at heart. So, for example, we're not just going to close our eyes and say the government's got our best interests at heart. The government never rips us off. That's BS, straight off the bat. You never trust the government. The government doesn't have your best interests at heart. The government has the government's best interests at heart because they're just career politicians. So as if I'm going to listen to the government when the government talks on why the economy is tanking. We all know why the economy is tanking, even right now. The economy is tanking because we've been overprinting money. Overprinting money leads to inflation. What? Why is that? Oh, because if we print more money, then what happens? The money becomes worth less. It's quite basic and simple. As if we're going to listen to the government that it's the freaking war. You know what I mean? So we have to understand, our own knowledge that, hey, if A and B equals C and 1 and 2 equals 3, if you try and tell me A and B equals Z and 1 and 2 equals 7, I'm going to tell you you're talking shit. So just really, that's an important thing to understand, is you have to have confidence in your own abilities to decipher and discern information, because you're not stupid. I'm not stupid. Yet the government treats us like we are. They lie to us and all of that. But it's not about the government. But what I'm trying to demonstrate is there are people in positions of power that don't have our best interests at heart. Okay, there are people in this world that will try and manipulate and use us and lie to us. So we can't just blindly agree with people. We have to assess them based on competency. Just like we have to assess any belief that is presented to us, or thought or information or idea or anything that is presented to us, we have to assess it on its base level of competency, because that's how we build trust within ourselves. If we blindly agree with everything that is presented to us, we are gullible. And our mind knows this. And our mind will treat us that way if we take those actions. So we have to respect ourselves to understand that there are certain things in life we have to put effort into. And if we're not willing to put effort into it, we must get the right opinion. We must find the right people to get that information from. All righty. So this is the importance, okay, of self-validation. We should never seek to compare ourselves against each other, okay? Like, we should seek to understand and compare ourselves to ourselves, not any other, okay? Because it's not about, if something works for you, it doesn't mean it's going to work for me. Just like if something works for me, it doesn't mean it's going to work for you. But there are certain things in life that will work, okay? For example, if I wanted to, lose weight, there's two things I can do: diet and exercise. If I do those things, they will work. There are certain things in life that if we all do them, they always work, because we're all the same. It's not about our genetics, okay? Our genetics don't make us different. Our genetics are a result of the environmental changes in our body, the environmental stimuli from our external environment. So it's important to really understand that, these things, there are certain things that work for everyone, and then there are certain things in life that are unique to certain people, okay? It works for everyone. It's just there are certain situation, or not segment, but there are certain circumstances that have to line up for it to happen, okay? So for example, if we take self-realization, just if I give you certain information doesn't mean you'll have the same realizations as me. But if I put you through the same situations and you focus on the same aspects that I focus on, you will have the same realization that I had. Just to the same, if the roles were reversed and you showed me information, okay, and you presented me the same information you saw in the same sequence that you saw it, okay, and it was presented in the same way that you saw it, and I focused on the same aspects of that information that you focused on, I would have the same realization as you, okay? But we gotta understand there are many variables in between that are going to change that. So it's not about one size fits all. It's about, like, it works, but we have to mold it to you, just like I have to mold things to myself. So you have to learn how to mold things to yourself in terms of understanding your beliefs, how they're constructed in your mind through your thoughts, understanding your feelings, how they're a result of your beliefs and your emotions. So the way it goes is your thoughts shape your beliefs. Your beliefs shape your emotional states. Your emotional states influence how you feel about things. How you feel about things, okay, the feelings you have, okay, influence the biochemical responses in your body from your brain, okay? So it's not that, like, that sequence doesn't change, okay? It always does it that way, because what we think, okay, if I think something is negative that's happening to me, okay, then I'll start to believe that negative things are happening. And when I believe something negative is happening, I create a negative emotion in myself, being upset, stressed, anxious, sad, things like that. And by doing that, I'll feel stressed, anxious, sad, okay? And by me feeling stressed, anxious, or sad, my body will release those chemicals, Okay, my brain will release those chemicals into my body. And as a result, my body will put me in that state. So that's one of the important things to understand is really we gotta be aware of these aspects, because if we're unaware of them, they happen subconsciously. And if they happen subconsciously, we don't notice it. So have you ever noticed how sometimes you just start to feel anxious? For example, if you're in a crowd, you might start to feel anxious and we don't understand why. And maybe it's because we think that there's threats. Maybe we think that there's judgment. We feel people judging us or having opinions about us, or we're worried about what their opinions are. But if we're not doing this on a conscious level, what's happening is it's happening subconsciously. And when it happens subconsciously, we don't notice it because our attention's over there, looking at whatever we're looking at. And then all of a sudden, we start to feel like so anxious. We start to feel stressed. And then we don't understand why. So then we start trying to identify what's causing this. But we don't understand why, because it's happening subconsciously. It's happening in the back of our mind, away from our awareness. So, that's just a little bit on understanding the differences in how we can approach our life, is we can approach it consciously or unconsciously. If we approach it unconsciously, we're not aware of all the different variables that are influencing our behavior, our feelings, our emotions. So, unfortunately for us, if we're unaware of what's causing the problem, all we can do is try and identify and treat the symptoms. And when we identify and treat the symptoms, this isn't a fix. It's a short-term fix. We might identify that we feel stressed because we're in a large group and there's a lot of people around us. So we separate from those people. Then we start to feel a bit better. So then we go back into the crowd. And now we're straight back into the same response. So really understanding this. But another thing is, you should never base your value on anyone else, okay? Because that's the thing. You've got to understand a lot of our construct of our psychology and our understanding of who we are and how we make decisions and all of that, and all the different ways our brain works, okay, is like it's based on other people's thoughts, other people's beliefs. And what we have to learn to do is we have to learn to self-identify. What is causing me to feel stressed? What is causing me to feel anxious? And then we have to work back and we have to understand at a higher level, okay, if this is causing me to feel stressed or this is causing me to feel anxious, why? Why am I feeling this way? And then we go back even further and we got to understand what instances in our life caused us to that. So like, for example, for me, throughout my schooling, okay, I was always brought down in grades because it was less effort for me to do things. So for example, I could get up there and do a speech and just talk, okay, and just talk about anything because I fed off the reactions of the crowd. I fed off the people around me. I was charismatic. But what happened was, because I could write out a short story in a couple of like 20, 30 minutes, okay? And then I could just talk and add in sections and create on the spot. My work was seen as less than a kid who took 20 hours to do his, that took weeks to do his assignment, to do up his speech. Why? Because I didn't put in more effort? Because he put in more time? How is that fair? So it's not based on the ability to perform. It's based on how long it takes you to do it, how much effort you got to put in to do it. That's one of the things. Okay, we don't want to promote to people that, we don't want to promote lower quality work. But if someone can competently work at a higher level in a shorter time period, okay, we should never devalue their work because it's perceived to be less effort. Okay, it's not my fault the other kid was useless and wasn't able to think on the spot, wasn't able to capture an audience, wasn't able to engage with people, didn't have the confidence to be able to speak on the spot and create on the go, didn't have the mental acuity to be able to just talk. So I get, downgraded. And unfortunately, for me, what this taught me, okay, was that I should never use my abilities. I should always do it their way. I should struggle and spend hours trying to write out something, but that's not how my brain works. So for example, even with this, if I'm trying to read and talk, it's very difficult. I talk from memory. You know what I mean? I talk from knowledge. I talk from experience. I talk based on what is in my mind, okay? And that's the thing in schooling when I was younger, okay? Even through to, higher education of university, okay? Teachers always brought me down because I didn't fit into their box or their ideals of what should be. You know what I mean? Because of a so-called expert had an opinion on a specific topic, and I went against that my opinion was invalid, no matter the quality of the work. Because what was taught to me was that competency and quality isn't what matters. What matters is word for word writing exactly what is written in a textbook. There's no value in that. What value is that? So that's the thing to understand is throughout our whole lives, look back on your life, there'll be many instances where people devalued you, especially in school, because that's what school's designed for. School's designed to beat you down and make you submit into what these idealistic teachers believe is education, believe is IQ. And they make us feel worthless if we go against them. They make us feel worthless if we choose to do things a different way. You know what I mean? And you can look at the education system at the moment and see that it has not changed in 150 years. It's still the same topics. Like, for example, take algebra. Maybe there's people that use algebra, maybe not. I think accounting is a much more valuable subject to teach than algebra, because in everyday life, accounting is quite useful. Algebra isn't. I've never had to do calculations in my head when driving, yet I use physics every day. Think of when you throw a ball. That is physics. Your mind just does it subconsciously. Okay, when you throw a ball and you adjust how much effort or how much force you put behind that ball, you are doing physics. It's not a written form, okay? You're not sitting there calculating if I use X amount of force. What you're doing is your body is calculating and you're feeling it. Because how you do it is in your subconscious hemisphere, because your subconscious hemisphere, okay, which is your right side, is the side that has the power, okay, to do multitudes of calculations in milliseconds. Okay, but it doesn't need to explain it to you. Just like when I throw, for example, a spear, if I was to throw a spear, I don't have to calculate how far I'll throw it. I will throw it and my brain will record this much force equals this much distance. And then I will try again and again and again. And after a while, my brain will have calculated the different amounts of force to the different distances traveled. That's how it works. But if you don't understand how to write out those complex formulas, if you don't understand all the theoretical knowledge, your opinion is invalid. But the thing is competency isn't in a textbook. You can't teach competency. Competency comes from doing. Competency comes from understanding. And that's one of the things in self-validation is we have to validate the competency within us. If we can do something competently, we should feel competent about doing it. We should feel good about what we do. But the problem is, okay, throughout society, throughout our lives, especially in my life, competency was never the value, because it was the people who weren't competent that got rewarded. You know what I mean? Like if we work in the same job, let's say we work in a pizza shop and we're making pizza. If I can make pizza better than you, it doesn't mean that I'm paid at a higher rate. We're paid at the same rate because we're meant to be equal. But maybe you sit down for half an hour of your shift. So that's the thing, is it's not that incompetent people get ahead in life. It's that our society will promote anyone who agrees with the consensus as being correct. Not about people who are competent, not about people who know, not about people who practice, who demonstrate. Now, granted, okay, in a lot of life, competency is the most important thing, and we promote this. But in how we deal with each other, we don't promote competency. Okay? In how our employment goes, our employment cares more about what's written on a resume than what's competently demonstrated. We care more about the schools you go to, about the knowledge you've got, the jobs you've held, the positions you've held, and we assume competence because you've held a position. And that's one of the downsides to life, is that we're not disused, but basically we are brought down and made feel less of for seeking competency, because we're told that we should always do things a certain way rather than trying to improve, rather than trying to innovate, because that's the wrong way to do it. Think about when you have policies and procedures in employment of this is the way it has to be done. Now, granted, standard operating procedures and policies are very, very important and they have value. But the problem is we're not promoting people based on competency, based on, we're not innovating our policies to be better and to be more fluid, right? So what does that do to us as workers? It promotes that we should just do the status quo. That's what schooling does. We should just do the status quo. When we understand that memorizing a textbook doesn't give us skills, it gives us knowledge, and it's not a bad thing. Memorizing textbooks is not a bad thing if you want to be able to repeat information. But memorizing a textbook doesn't give you a comprehensive understanding on the topic. Do you know what I mean? Just like going out there and doing it doesn't mean you understand it. You can do it, but it doesn't mean you understand it, because you don't understand it technically. So we have to have a merge between understanding technical data and understanding experiential data. Okay, it's the same in life. And that's one of the things we've got to understand with self-validation is we're taking theoretical information, other people's beliefs, other people's thoughts, other people's opinions, and we're taking experiential information, our beliefs, our thoughts, our ideas, how we feel about things. Okay, and we've got to merge them, and we've got to assess them, and we've got to update them, because it's not just a one-time off thing that I set my values and then they're set forever. No, my values aren't set forever. They're set moment to moment in my actions. If my value is honesty and I lied to someone, I've just broken that. So how can my value be still honesty if I've acted against that? So then, now my value is dishonesty. So I must act honestly to rebuild it. So there's some of the things, but we just got to work out, and this is what I want to get across to you, is throughout my thesis, it's about experiential knowledge and theoretical knowledge, merging the two so that you can comprehend complex ideas, but you also have competency in doing those complex ideas or those complex tasks. All right. So pretty much the important thing that I've found in my life in understanding self-validation is really that it has to be our rock. So our understanding of theoretical knowledge, our understanding of experiential knowledge has to be our rock, okay? It has to be, if I believe that these two ideals or these two theories, okay, of knowledge are important, then that has to be my rock. That if someone comes and tells me, oh no, you just have to read a textbook and you know it all, that I say to them, that's bullshit. I know better. I have gone out and practiced. I've gone out and done what I said I was going to do. You know what I mean? It's not just about learning, but it's about implementing that learning. It's not about just gaining information, because information is only information if you don't use it. Once you use it, it becomes knowledge. Because once you have that experiential data, now you have a plethora of data to fall back on to, if I wanted to throw a spear 25 meters, this is how much energy I would need, or force I would need to exert to get that spear across there. That gives you knowledge. If I just read a book on physics on how to throw a spear, I'll go out there and I'll say I have to do a calculation and I got to use 25 pounds of force. Okay. Good luck trying to understand what 25 pounds of force means before you've even thrown a spear. Who knows? Maybe there's a astrophysicist or physicist that can do that, but that ain't me. Probably ain't you either. All right. So to understand that, life's up here, it's not out there. Okay. So everything we need in life in terms of knowledge, our knowledge and our wisdom and all of that is in our brain. How we shape our thoughts of what is right, what is wrong, what is real is all up here. So we got to stop outsourcing our belief, our thoughts, what we think is right, what we think is wrong. We've got to build our foundation of, this is what I believe is right for me. And I'm okay finding out new information to improve myself. I'm okay trying new things to improve myself. But it doesn't mean I'm going to try everything that everyone says. It doesn't mean I'm going to believe everything everyone says. Okay, because that's an important thing to understand. Is it's not just about believing what everyone else says. It's mostly about believing what you think, valuing your opinion. Okay, your opinion to discern information, your opinion to go out and test ideas and information. Because that's the thing, the collective knowledge always knows more than the singular. But you don't just agree with the collective because it's the collective. That's where we get herd mentality from. That's where people just do things because other people say it's cool. They say it's right. Look at religion. A lot of people in the 15th, 16th century went, a lot of Christians and Catholics went and murdered, Muslims, because some priest told them that to murder an infidel was okay. Do you understand? When the Crusades took Jerusalem, they killed like 1 million Muslims, men, women, and children, because they thought that was acceptable behavior. But any conscious, rational human being knows that that's not acceptable behavior. Yet how could they believe that? Because they outsourced their belief to a third party, to their external environment, which was the church. Not a good time. Not a good way. That's how we get manipulated. We can see it. Religion is the root of all evil, because the problem is, with religion, it's not that religion is bad, but when we have one person interpreting and dictating, spiritual text, religious text, telling us our moral code, our moral compass, that one person has power over us, power to implant beliefs, ideas into our mind. Not a good time. So we all have to be independent. While we can look up to a moral figure, while we could look up to that third party, we still have to remain independent with our discernment of what is right, because we all know what is right inside. We all know that it's not a good thing to kill other people unless it's in self-defense. You know what I mean? It's not a good thing to go out there and kill someone for someone else's belief. That's how you get emotional trauma. To kill someone for your own beliefs, at least you can justify it. But to kill someone for someone else's beliefs is never a good thing. Nope. So to understand that is to understand that we don't want to outsource our third part, our discernment, our ability to learn, our ability to identify, to create our reality with a third party. Okay. So what we got to understand is that, we want to focus on being able to be confident within ourselves, to be able to, one, take in information, analyze it, confer with our peers, find out their perspective, and then make our decision based on all the information. Because the more information we have, the better our decision making. But we have to understand it. What underlies it, what is the foundation for us making our own decisions, is being able to validate what is real, what is right for us individually. What's right for me, what's right for you. So I determine what's right for me, you determine what's right for you. So it's not about trying to find out these universal truths of what is and what isn't right. Everyone knows what's right. Be kind to people. Don't harm others. Don't kill animals unless you're killing them with respect. Like any hunter that hunts animals and kills them disrespectfully, that's not a good way to be. We should kill animals respectfully if we're going to kill them. Okay? Just like if we're going to kill people, we should kill them respectfully. But what you got to understand is chivalry on the street is always chivalry. In warfare, there is no such thing. Warfare is brutal. Warfare is disgusting. Warfare is the most depraved aspects of human beings. Okay? But it doesn't mean that we have to act that way towards each other all the time. But it means at certain times we have to. So we got to be able to discern when is right and when is wrong. What is right? What is wrong? Because we all know that inside. You know what I mean? If you hurt someone and you feel bad about it, that is your subconscious. That is your intuition telling you this is not authentic actions that align with you. You know, if you're a serial killer or a psychopath or something like that, and you hurt someone and it makes you feel good, it's what makes you feel good. Who knows? All right. Like it's irrelevant, that argument. But the thing is that like we all know what's right and what's wrong. We don't need other people to tell us what's right and what's wrong. But when we're interacting in an environment with other people, we need to take into account what's right and wrong for us and what's right and wrong to do to others. And we've got to make that decision based on how we want to interact with other people. So that's just a little bit on really understanding, okay, my thesis is around self-validation. That the core thesis is, okay, your opinion must always be the highest opinion to you. And it's not that your opinion is set in stone, it's that you have to discern what is right and wrong for you, what is acceptable behavior, what is unacceptable behavior, how you want to interact with others, how you want others to interact with you. Like you've got to make those decisions, okay? And you've got to respect yourself so that you can build trust within yourself by listening to yourself about things that involve yourself. Just like I must do the same for me, okay? So, like, to understand this is how we understand how to build the foundation to our life, to our psychology. Because if we're only ever outsourcing who we are, what we think, what we feel, what we believe to third parties, we are their slaves. They can decide what is right and wrong for us. The government, religion, pretty much anyone in power or anyone that we give our power to. So we must assess the people that we listen to. Are they competent? Do they have our best interests at heart? Do they care about us as individuals? In terms of if I'm going to a doctor and that doctor doesn't like care about me as a person, am I going to get the best medical treatment? Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? Like, I personally would rather go and see a doctor that had my health at his highest priority, that had an felt an ethical code or a moral code to help me get better. I would rather that than going to the most expensive doctor. Because even if the most expensive doctor, like they can make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. It's not about being right or wrong. Okay? But I would feel more comfortable. I would feel safer going to someone that cared for me. I would feel better within myself about trusting them. Doesn't mean I'm always going to get the best result, but at least I'm going to feel comfortable getting that result. All right. Well, I hope this helped out. And yeah, I'll see you on the next one. Thanks. Bye.